What's up, nerds? It's Saturday. It's the third day of December 2022. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning, getting a late start today because A, I wanted to sleep in because it was raining, and 2, I needed to read what was going on in the world of tabletop role-playing games before I commented on it. And it's about 60 degrees here at Site B and sunny. It rained last night, and we're supposed to have thunderstorms tonight. But right now it's cold and sunny. So I remember a couple days ago, like 48 hours ago, when Wizards of the Coast gave us a 40-minute documentary about how they were changing race to species because the term race was problematic. And we did a video about it. And then we did another video about it. And then when we made some statements that, well, this isn't really the best way to address the situation that you think needs to be fixed. I bet you that despite all this, people are still going to find something wrong with the changing. And a couple of people are like, no, this is a long time coming. Nobody's going to have an issue with them changing race to species. Plenty of other game companies have done it already. So they should have done this years ago. Besides, it's the way we always thought. Elf is a race, dwarf is a elf is a species, dwarf is a species, halfling is a species, blah, 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 blah. I was like, well, what about all the subclasses of elves, like drow elves? Are they a race? No, they can't be a race because Wizards of the Coast just got rid of race. So that means drow elves are now their own separate species, which I guess leads to a bunch of doomed interspecies romances because you know what happens when one species and another species make a baby. That baby is usually sterile. Horses and donkeys give you mules. Mules are great, but they can't make baby mules. Yeah. So we have 3 schools in response to the whole race of species. We have the I don't care group, and that group is divided into people who were like, I don't care because I don't play D&D, and I stopped playing Wizards of the Coast D&D long ago, and I play other games, so I really don't care what Wizards of the Coast does to continue their downward spiral of ridiculousness. And then we have the other half of the I don't care group who are like me. Who are like, I play 5e, I run 5e, I don't care what you're doing, Wizards of the Coast, because it doesn't really affect the table I'm at. If you want to call your character a member of the elf race, the elf species, the elf homogeny, the elf collective, the elf empire, I don't care. Doesn't affect really the game. I don't know anybody who's going to run 1D&D. I don't know anybody who's going to play 1D&D. I don't know who anybody who's going to buy 1D&D. It kind of feels like at this point in time, most people are viewing 1D&D as just another expansion to 5e with a new set of alternate rules similar to Tasha's or Xanthers or any of the others, or here's another book with stuff that you can use or not use. Then we have the I really, really, really love this crowd, and I love every change, and I love everything that they're doing with 1D&D, and I'm really looking forward to these new rules, these new changes. But again, still haven't heard anybody from that side say, cannot wait to run, cannot wait to play 1D&D. The I love the changes side are, I love this should have been done. I love this. This is great. Blah, 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 blah. I can't wait to see these changes in print. Again, it sort of feels like people are still treating this as it's just another expansion book. It's not a whole new thing. But it is a whole new thing. They're not releasing it as a Tasha's. Here is a set of new alternate rules. This is what we're doing going forward in the creations of our product. You can choose to follow this or choose to ignore it. This is not an expansion to 5e. This is supposed to be a whole new world, enchanted and new, because they want you to buy all the 3 books all over again and all the modules all over again. So yeah. And then we have the group that hates it or just really thinks this is dumb. And there's 2 sides to that group. There are the old school gamers who don't see any reason for the change, feel it's dumb, feel it doesn't really embrace the genre, feel it's just another step in Wizards of the Coast ruining our beloved Dungeons & Dragons. But then those people are like, well, I really hate what you're doing with D&D, but you know what? That's why I stopped playing Wizards of the Coast D&D and went back to the OSR. I went back to Castles and Crusades. Castles and Crusades, the real legacy of Gary Gygax. Or switched over to other games like Rifts or Powered by the Apocalypse or Call of Cthulhu. Call of Cthulhu, the most popular role-playing game in the world. And then we have the other ones who are going, this is dumb. Why did you switch us to species? And here's the interesting one, because I predicted that no matter what Wizards of the Coast does, the same group of individuals they continue to try and cater to will continue to complain. So they changed race to species, and the most complaints about it are from their target audience. Not people like me, not people who loved 5e and play it but don't care, not the OSR, not the middle of the roaders like me, the token fan base, the people that they are actually trying to market this to, the same ones who complained about Radiant Citadel and Spelljammer and Dragonlance are complaining about the change from race to species. And if you don't believe me, here's a tweet from Daniel Kwan. Daniel Kwan has a ton of viewers on the Twitterverse, a ton of viewers on the YouTube and stuff like that. Daniel Kwan claims changing the term from race to species doesn't solve the underlying essentialism in D&D. If anything, this enables gamers to lean into the biological species concept to even further codify systems of oppression in their game. As myself and so many other POC people of colors have been saying, ancestry or heritage is a far better solution, especially given that modifiers were removed from race in the first 1D&D playtest. I'm honestly surprised that a cultural consultant came up with this. Don't worry, Daniel Kwan. They will just simply say, oh, a cultural consultant didn't look on it that day. Let's see, another one called Asian Represents Podcast reacted to the first 1D&D playtests. And we can go to their website. This is Asian Represents Podcast.
Dragonborn, whose scales are different colors produce a child. Yes. Their offspring scales match those of one parent or the other. And I was like, what?
That's not how. Well, I think the entire way.
I get why, because they're like, oh, well, the scales are tied to the damage type, and that's where the mechanics are kind of But for me, it's like I would just say that I've got these like this.
We're complaining. And then we got another one from Arcanist Press complaining about it. Then we got some other people complaining about it. So yes, Daniel Kwan and several other people of color who are supposedly claim that they are 5e fans are complaining about the change from race to species because species insinuates a biodiversity cultural difference and insinuates that one species is superior to another species based upon the stats you give it. I mean, if we look at the new breakdown of the races for 1D&D, there are species that are innately superior to other species. Pretty much every species presented so far is superior to us boring old humans. And then you look at like tieflings or dragonborns are the ones that have built-in spells and built-in resistances and built-in extra abilities compared to, say, elves who don't have as many built-in things. You can go, well, that species is essentially superior to another species. So you're increasing the bioessentialism, you're increasing the colonization, you're increasing the racial stereotyping by saying species. You could have just said anything else. Or you could have done what every other company has done who have changed from race to species. Palladium did it 20 years ago. Pazio did it 2 years ago when they released Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Level Up 5e did it when they released Level Up 5e, changed race to species and ancestry. And you know why there was no complaints about this? Because Palladium 20 years ago didn't go up on a soapbox, ding their little champagne glass and go, excuse me. Pazio, when they changed it, just changed it. Didn't make a 40-minute long documentary about it. Didn't post multiple articles about it. They simply said, bam, we changed it. And nobody complained. There was none of this, I'm Daniel Kwan and I'm complaining about this. There's none of this, I'm Professor Connie Chang and I'm complaining about this. There was none of this. People saying this is still marginalizing because they just did it. And what everybody I think agrees is what Wizards of the Coast should have done is go, bam, here's playtest round 3. In playtest round 3, we are experimenting with changing race to species. At the end of December, when the survey goes live on December 21st, please let us know if you like the change race to species. If you do, great. If you don't, great. Thank you. That was it. Bam. That's what it should have done. Just bam, we're changing it. This is why here's the new changes to the species. At the end of the month, let us know what you think. And if people are like universally 99% or 88% or whatever it is people are claiming, yes, change it. Then Wizards of the Coast, okay, we changed it. And if people are like, no, don't change it. We don't care. We like it the way it is. Wizards of the Coast could have gone, all right. But instead, they made this 40-minute long documentary and multiple things. And we have people like Daniel Kwan and Connie Chang and all these other cultural individuals going, this just makes the situation worse. And they're going to blame it on the cultural consultants. How did a cultural consultant employed by Wizards of the Coast let this pass? And as we know, Wizards of the Coast has introduced plausible deniability in response to when this situation happens. Well, that was the cultural consultant didn't consult on that one. We apologize. Don't worry. That cultural consultant no longer works with us. And going forward in the next product or in the errata, which you'll have to pay for, we'll change it. Or they can play the other one. Well, we consulted with the community. You told us what we wanted. We changed it. So now, Daniel Kwan, if you're upset about that, well, you were part of the community, so we consulted you. We put out a survey. It's not our fault. It's plausible deniability. It's your fault. We gave you what you wanted. And the fact of the matter is, no, you and I, you can argue with me all you want, but history has shown us, the facts show us, that no matter what Wizards of the Coast does, people are going to complain. And more, the people who are complaining are not the OSR. The OSR has reached the point where we just don't care anymore. We're not playing D&D. We're playing older versions of D&D. The games we do play are not being affected by this or at a minimal range. You don't hear anybody making complaints about the changes to Call of Cthulhu or Villains of Vigilantes or Rifts or any of the other games that have, adopted this new, more diverse, inclusive mentality, because they don't make a big deal about it. They just change it. And if people use it, great. If people don't use it, great. They are focused on the game and creating a game people enjoys. Wizards of the Coast is focused on appealing to as many people as possible and trying not to hurt anybody's feelings and doing it in such a backwards way that no matter what they do, we get Daniel Kwans of the world going, well, it's still the same thing. You haven't changed anything. You need to do better. Knowing full well that no matter what Wizards of the Coast does, it won't be good enough. People will find something wrong with 1D&D no matter what Wizards of the Coast does. People will find something wrong with Dragonlance no matter what Wizards of the Coast does. We've got, 8 new things coming out in 2023? 10 new things coming out in 2023, plus the things that they surprise us with, like the new Tyranny of Dragons, which was completely unnecessary. No matter what, people will find things wrong. People are already complaining about Tyranny of the Dragon. And they haven't even seen the changes yet. So, yeah, Wizards of the Coast, you can't win. And the Daniel Kwans of the world prove you can't win. So, why bother? Just don't. You have no one to blame but yourself, because you went up on that soapbox and you went, ting, 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 ting. Look what we're doing. It's a good thing. Pay attention to us. We deserve your votes. And instead of getting the positive reaction, you're getting the, I don't care. These are good ideas. I might incorporate them into my game. Or, how dare you, Wizards of the Coast? And the how dare yous are coming from the people Wizards of the Coast are trying to appease. Can't win. All right, that's it. Now back to your regularly scheduled nonsense for the day. I'm the OGGM. Thank you for helping me reach 1,000 subs. Now let's march forward to 1 billion subs. Support me. Subscribe if you haven't had a chance yet. Check out my merch. I've got a Patreon going because that's something you do, but I don't really expect people to sign up. I was just recommended that I set up a Patreon for the future, so that's linked down below. Check out my merch. I should have some new designs by the end of the week, and just in time for Christmas. And, stay safe, stay warm, stay healthy, stay happy, stay hydrated, and stay off my land, you damn dirty kids with your damn dog.